Welcome to today's episode of Time Well Spent. I am pleased to have one of our own Simcoe County District School Board teacher librarian, Sonia Leggatt, join us today. Sonia is currently serving at Chris Hadfield Public School. Thanks so much for your time today, Sonia, as we explore the concept of racism and the steps that we can all take to move forward in standing up against it and the harm that it causes.
Thank you for having me today. I'm very excited to share the journey Chris Hadfield has been on over the past few years. My biggest step as teacher librarian is developing a collection where students see themselves in the books they read, giving them a sense of belonging. My job has been to purchase rich books that focus on various social identities and ethnicities, books that foster positive attitudes about diversity, the books that go beyond the single story and show diverse characters doing everyday things. Another step I've taken is working with teachers about being intentional about the mentor text that they're using in the classroom. For example, at the beginning of the year when talking about names, instead of using chrysanthemum, choosing something like my name is Sangol or the name jar. So finding those diverse texts to bring in so students see themselves in the books being shared in the classroom, and that helps develop an open dialogue about other cultures and social identities. Another step our school has taken has been with honoring the first languages of our students. So as in the library, what I've done is I've developed a dual language picture book collection of the various languages we have in the building. And I actually, when I was purchasing, had students come in and help me make decisions on what books to buy. When you go through our school, the words posted in the classroom are written in English and other languages. Students are always speaking their first languages, doing work in their first language. And that all works together to build a culture of inclusivity at our school. I have to say, though, the biggest step we've taken and the biggest success we had was with embedding equity into our curriculum. So in 2019, our school received the Grassroots Grant. Part of this grant was spent on releasing a group of teachers to go to Gateway Public School in Toronto. This school was selected because it had a similar cultural makeup as our school. We were there initially to see the ELL best practices, but as we walked through the building, we saw these amazing inquiry questions on the wall with student work. So we talked to the teachers about it, and they said what they had done is they had found a way to embed equity into their curriculum. So for example, in grade 6, the question was, how do different groups contribute to the Canadian identity? And we were shocked by the student responses to this, and this was our aha moment. As a school, we had talked a lot about where we wanted to move to on this equity continuum. And we had done the bulletin boards, we had talked about holidays, we had the books, but we didn't really know where our next step was. And at Gateway Public School, we were able to see it. When we came back to school at the next staff meeting, we talked as a staff about what we saw at Gateway Public School, and we decided that this had to be our next step. Grades worked together as teams to create their equity inquiry question, and then that was embedded into our curriculum. We had grade 8s who were able to talk about why access to clean water is not a human right, to our junior students who could explain and talk about equity versus equality. And the enthusiasm from student discussion, the student work that produced was amazing, and I have to say that was probably our biggest success today.
That's fantastic, Sonia, and I'm so pleased to hear the alignment with the board strategic plan. So impressive work for sure, and I know that it's an ongoing work as well.
Yes, it is. The first resource that's been great for our school is the James Banks Equity Continuum. So this continuum allows teachers to reflect on their equitable practices in areas such as instruction, school climate, student voice. So at a staff meeting, our vice principal, Natalie Edgar, put the continuum up on the wall around the room we were in. And each teacher was given a sheet of stickers. And what you had to do is you had to read the part of the continuum, and then with the sticker, place where you thought where you fell. And initially we were a little overwhelmed to do this, but it was really great to see that we all felt we were at the beginning of a continuum. So it was nice to see we were all feeling the same way. And that continuum gave us some ideas of how we could move forward on our journey of equity, diversity, and inclusion. And it is a continuum we have gone back to revisit. It gives us the chance to celebrate our successes and identify what our next steps need to be as a school. The other resource that's been invaluable to me is actually a store called Another Story. So it's an independent bookstore in Toronto that carries books with an emphasis on equity, diversity, inclusion, and social justice. On their website, they have book lists specifically for school on various themes, ranging from anti-racism to LGBTQ to abilities. And from there, you can select books that are best for your school, that are very inclusive and diverse. So that's been great for me in helping me build our collection at Chris Hadfield. During my very first year teaching, a colleague overheard one of my students say to another, "Why is it we have the Packy for the teacher?" And I knew this is something I needed to address, but first year teacher, I don't know how to do it. A lot of people are very scared to have those conversations, but I knew I had to say something. So we talked at first about words and words being hurtful. And from there, we moved on to what a racial slur was. And the students could not understand for the life of them that that was considered a racial slur. And to me, it was a red flag that I realized kids at this age, grade 5, already had such strong preconceived notions, such stereotypes built in that they couldn't understand what I was saying. And racial slurs and comments like that are something people don't forget. I was 23 when that happened to me, and I still remember it all to this day. And educators need to realize that they need to teach anti-racism. It needs to be something that's embedded in the curriculum. It can't be that lesson that you do once when something's happened in class. It needs to be part of the curriculum. It needs to be taught ongoing. And those conversations are extremely uncomfortable, but they're necessary for any learning and change to happen.
Powerful, and I certainly do appreciate you sharing that.
Thank you.
I appreciate the work that you're doing, not only at your school, Sonia, but also as you work with many other talented SCDSB teacher librarians and staff members. Thank you very much for your time, your energy, and your commitment to student achievement and well-being. This was indeed time well spent.
Thank you.